Welcome everyone. My name's Bhante Akaliko. So I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a queer Buddhist monk living here in Australia. And today I'm delighted to have a guest with us from Thailand. His name is Krittapas Chedjaroenrat, and he is a political science student at Chulalongkorn University in Thailand. He's majoring in international studies, and he's the president of the Political Science Student Union. And the way I got to know Krittapas was through his work with the publishing house that he founded, which is Some Young Press. This is a progressive, student-led publishing house. They publish and translate a variety of books on democracy and oppression. And in that context, Krittapas contacted Rainbodhi and they asked to translate into Thai Rainbodhi's resource, Welcoming the Rainbow, a guide to LGBTQIA+ inclusion for Buddhists. And I'm delighted to say that Krittapas completed that project. And so I look forward to talking with him tonight about his work and about this booklet's translation into Thai and what it means for queer Thai Buddhists. So welcome, Krittapas.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me today, and swaddi krap from Thailand, from Bangkok.
It's a pleasure to have you, and it's also great to remember my visit to Thailand recently, where I went to Chulalongkorn University and met with students. And at that stage, the booklet was almost ready, but not quite. And you had a mock-up copy, which I was so impressed with. And I just really appreciate the work that you did with your team, translating, publishing, and now distributing this book throughout Thailand. So thank you so much for that work.
No, thank you at all. We are very delighted and pleased to do that, and we aim to translate and publishing it and distribute it to public as much as we can to reach and to get the public more attention about awareness on LGBTQ plus community.
And I really liked that you also made the book freely available, and that's really important to make sure that people have access to it without having to pay. So that's wonderful. And maybe we could talk a little bit more broadly to begin about the situation for LGBTQI people in Thailand. A lot of people have a perception that Thailand is very accepting and welcoming of queer people. Is that true?
Actually, Thailand generally accept the LGBTQ AI plus people, but in a deeper side, based on the Buddhist background in Thai context. Some may believe that being LGBTQIA plus is kind of the karma of one's or family's previous life, or some may accept, but there is phrase that they may use in the family, like you can be anything, but just be a good person. Yeah, there will be some condition like this. So it means that they didn't really accept LGBTQAI plus as the core. They just accept just like not 100%. So LGBTQ plus people in Thailand will be treated like a third gender. So I think in the course of patriarchy that we will treat people will treat men as the first and women the second and LGBTQ plus as a third, which is not quite right. But now in Thai society right now, there are many movements from all the student social movements, NGOs, and also now in the parliament as well, that they will or we will push the issues to be treated more equally and legally as well. As now, as actually LGBTQIA plus cannot be married legally. Now we also push that forward to be legalized, and also the LGBTQ community can live together legally. Yep. So I think now we gradually working, and it goes more widely in nation. And I think soon LGBTQ plus can be more accepted and will be treated more equally.
Thank you. And I think it's interesting talking to you now, and I also remember our previous conversations online and over email. So for a lot of people in Western countries, non-Buddhist countries, they see Buddhism as this religion which is very progressive, very accepting, and because of past experiences with the majority religion here in Australia or in America or Europe, Christianity, people think that Buddhism doesn't have the same hang-ups about LGBTQ plus people as the religions like Christianity, for example. And so they see Buddhism as really accepting and, yeah, like I say, progressive. But for someone like you in Thailand, you might have a different view of Buddhism. It's the majority religion. It has a large role in society. It has a lot of conservative elements to it. Is there a different kind of Buddhism, do you think, in Thailand and in the West?
Yeah, of course. I think Buddhism in Thailand is quite different from the Western, which it seems to be more progressive than it is in Thailand. In Thailand, it's quite conservative, and it relates directly to the institutions and political system in Thailand, which is the monarchy and the old traditions that dominated the old system, and Buddhism kind of be centralized in Bangkok and be guided by just some old rules that they mix together. So that is why LGBTQ plus community also has been discriminalized. Uh, I'm sorry, the I'm sorry. How they just not treated equally. Yeah.
Mm,
So it comes like what I just previously said, that
mm,
they believe the sin, the karma, and something like that, in the belief that it's not just a spiritual, it is somehow superstition instead. So the old belief kind of just make people to conform with the norms, so conform with the norms that they will have the merit or something like that can conform the state guidelines as well as the religion's guideline in the country. So it's not quite like in the Western, that the Buddhism is the progressive option that people can can live with the very directly to the Buddha way.
mm.
Yep. So if I say that being LGBTQ in Thai Buddhist context in Thailand is a little bit harder, because in Thailand being LGBTQ actually cannot be be a monk. Actually, if 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 just like me, I'm LGBT, right? I cannot be a monk in some temples that they quite strict, because they believe that in in the Thailand's way. Um, Being LGBT is some like a bundle, and I'm not sure in English what it said, and they consider it's not a proper man to be a monk. So yeah, I think this kind of belief that is quite discriminate
Mm.
the LGBT from the society.
And if I'm correct, the category of being that you're talking about is the Pandaka. Is that right? The third,
Yeah,
yeah, Pandaka, the
yeah,
third, like a third gender, or and we're not even sure what that person is or being is. It could be a
yeah,
mythological being. And there's been a lot of research done on that. But over the years, when the original meaning of the word was lost, this word began to be used as applying to queer people, gay people in particular. And then this idea, because pandakas were not allowed to ordain, then this idea came along in parts of Thailand, in parts of other cultures as well, that if you were gay, you couldn't ordain. And this belief, even though it's incorrect, has continued to have an impact on Thai culture, right? I remember seeing an
yes,
interview with a, a, a gay man who had ordained, and it was one of those horrible television shows. It was like a talk show, I think called Woody or something like that. It was really
yes,
difficult for me to watch it because it was just horrible. But
yeah,
most of the monks that were interviewed didn't have a problem at all with the idea of ordaining a gay person, um, but that they should behave in a certain way. And this is where you start to see that thing that you mentioned, that kind of like we accept you, but with limits. We accept you as long as you
yes,
behave in this way. And for many queer people, you know, they might have effeminate tendencies, for example. And this was what the monk said that, they shouldn't have, they should act like this, they shouldn't act like that. And so it was
yes,
like, we accept you as long as you behave like this. Yeah. But
yes.
have you're sorry, you're going to say, yeah.
You say first.
You've ordained as a monk, haven't you?
I haven't yet,
You haven't?
but I
No?
have. Yeah, I haven't, but I have seen many friends who have ordained, and some of them are LGBTQ, and yeah, just like you have mentioned, they just have to act like the society expects, like the family expects.
Right.
So it's like one has two sides, and one side just show for just friends, and that side they can be truly themselves. But the another side is like being like the society expect, like being like what family expect. So
Mm.
it's very uncomfortable for ones that has to change their lifestyle for the time.
Right.
It's,
Sure.
yeah.
And I thought you might have ordained as a monk only because it's quite common, isn't it, for many men in Thailand to ordain temporarily.
Yeah, actually it is, especially in Buddhist in Thai Buddhist context also has the tradition that
Mm.
a man that who is 20 years old or old and older should at least ordain once in a life for
Mm.
a marriage to the parents. So
Mm.
yeah, so parents would be so lucky to have a son. Yeah, it is a Thai narrative in Thai society.
Mm.
But yeah, and I personally don't want to ordain because I don't want to conform with the belief. Like, oh my God, one in a lifetime should ordain because to please the parent, so the parent can please the society that they're so lucky to have a
Yeah.
son that can ordain. Oh, and
It's a
I
lot
just
of
like,
pressure in some way, isn't it? And very conformist as well.
Yeah, if in some very conservative family would be very lot pleasure.
And this kind of leads to another topic about discrimination as well, and that is that in Thailand it's forbidden for the full ordination of women, that is, bhikkhuni ordination, is not
Yeah,
allowed.
yes. Being bikini is not allowed totally in Thailand's legally way, because if one has to ordain, uh one's had to kind of have a legally card that you mentioned that you are a monk, and and the Thai and the Thai Buddhist Center. I'm not sure how to announce. I'm not sure how to call it correctly in English. Uh,
The authorities, the Thai Buddhist
y-
authorities, yeah,
yeah,
like the
yeah. They,
Sankaraja,
yeah, yeah. สำนักพระพุทธศาสนา I'm not sure.
mm,
Yeah,
like
but has
the yeah, the Buddhist
the
council, yeah,
Sankara. Yeah, Buddhist
yeah,
council. They don't allow all women to to ordain. And there are also some narratives that Buddha said that women don't fit to be a monk because there are many problems. Yeah, there are both narrative and legally that limit women to be in the Buddhist monk,
mm,
which is quite a different narrative in another Buddhism way in outside Thailand.
yeah,
Yeah, and and that and that's why, like I said, that Thailand in conservative way would be so even more proud in Asian way to have son instead of
yes.
daughter.
And so this relates to patriarchy and favoring men. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There are bikinis in Thailand, and I've been really fortunate to visit some of the bikini monasteries, and they had to ordain outside of Thailand. So once they've been ordained outside of Thailand, they can live in Thailand as fully ordained bikinis, but uh, they still face a lot of opposition. However, I will say that they actually also get a lot of support, both from monastics, male monastics, and the lay community as well, which I found really heartening. And I think maybe we'll end up seeing more and more bikinis in Thailand, more Thai bikinis in the future.
Yes, we strongly hope so. Once my friends also had hold had held the activity that we invited Bhikkhuni into Chulalongkorn University as well to some panel talks. But yeah,
Mm.
it's a little bit concerned to the administration as well because it's quite risky. And yeah, like you have said that Bhikkhuni is, yeah, they have to ordain outside Thailand, but even in Thailand, some still cannot accept by the
Mm.
system. But yeah, but we have to be the voice to also push this forward because I
Mm.
think the Buddhist council should be reformed as well.
And so this is, so for me, I find this really interesting. Again, that difference between the Buddhism that perhaps I experienced in the West and the Buddhism that you've grown up with, conservative institution with a lot of power and privilege, protecting its own interests a lot of the time. And
Very much.
and so when I think about the work that you're doing with your publishing house, Samyang Press, which is really about um, power, privilege, and oppression, and publishing texts that help people understand these mechanisms in society. Um, what is this project that you're doing through this publishing house? And how does publishing Rainbodhi's guide on inclusion fit into your bigger project?
Samian prayers where we all believes in human rights and and equality and democracy. And and in Buddhist context that discriminate LGBTQ people is always in our daily life. And my friend Nejawit, who is also an activist, and now he ordained as a monk. Yep, and we had discussed before about this, and yeah, we have come seen the Rainbodhi's resource, welcoming the rainbow books, and we have found it very interesting that the resort has written clearly and briefly about the LGBTQ identities and including in the Buddhist context, and we would very much appreciate that Bhante Akaliko has allowed us to translate it into Thai without any cost at all. And more than that, I also have got your support and some advice. And I think it is very important as the publishing to at least there would be a book that it is a hard copy, it's a resource that actually in Thai and support the LGBTQ identities that define it in the text, because in general in the society, there are many issues. There are many issues mentioned about equality, but few about mention the equality, the gender equality, and we also do at books as an activism. We we would like to push this forward to just like our vision that to writing and translating to protect and promote democracy and also the equality as well. And more than that, I think it also would be kind of accessible because we all in the majority in Thailand is Buddhist, right? And I think if we can publish and distribute the books that contains about how to treat LGBTQ plus community equally and friendly, and in the Buddhist context, I think it would be at least it can open up someone's mind through the temples. In Thailand, temples always relates to the local community, and I believe that the temple can lead to the local community to also accept, or at least can pick this book up and read, or at least they can reconsider it, and they can understand LGBTQ more than just the narrative that no one actually said it. They're just the narrative. I want this welcoming the rainbow to raise their right awareness to treat and to reconsider and to accept the LGBTQ community as a human like all of us in the society as well. And that is the big vision, and we try our best to do this mission.
And you've got a copy there of the Thai edition, don't you? So this is what the English version looks like, but you've got a copy of the Thai version there. Nice
this
cover.
is the Here's a copy of the Thai version. So we have a Buddha image here in the rainbow that reflects the LGBTQ community, the pride and the rainbow as the pride flag. Yep.
And the Bodhi tree at the top.
Yeah. The Buddhist, it's a the whole I'm not sure.
We say Bodhi tree or Bo tree.
Yeah.
The
It's
tree under which the Buddha attained
symbol.
enlightenment. Yes.
Yeah.
And can we see inside?
Yes. Inside of the book, we also have the preface from Prachai Waratamo and Prabhu Sumeto, who are the main supporters who are the Buddhist monk and main supporter of LGBTQ community in Thai Buddhist
That's right. I
context
know
as
that
well.
Shine, he does so much work advocating for queer people in Thailand.
Yes,
There they are, and Prasamedo. And I know that Prashine has gotten into a bit of trouble sometimes for doing things like attending pride
yes,
rallies and things like that. But he's one of the most vocal supporters, not only of queer rights, but also women's rights as well. And one of the things that was actually, I should just mention, just as you're flicking through, those beautiful illustrations by my friend Venerable Yoda, all those beautiful drawings that she did, especially for the book, which also appear in all the other editions as well. One of the things that was really important to me when you came to me asking about doing the Thai translation was that it just wasn't um, just only the English text translated into Thai, but there was some context given for the specific location of Thailand, that it was something that actually mattered, and you got those monks involved, and you also added essays from some LGBTQ activists as well. Can you tell us about those?
yes, yes. We also have had interviewed with many activists as well, both
Mm.
queer activists like Silapop Antohi or Raptor. He is the an activist that working along us in the university, and and he is also the spiritual as well, and that he is like uh has the standpoints that in 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 the progressive Buddhism is not, there's no discrimination in the Buddhist context originally, but um in in our society there are just like homophobia in its core, and that's why we have to work on it and to solve against it,
Mm.
to treat people more equal in, and also it comes with the political context as well, uh, because the issue and the discrimination, it comes from the dominated political system that the authoritarian in our country right now has the rights to rule and decide what is right or not, and no one can skeptic about it, and
Mm.
it is, as an activist, too skeptical about it, and that is what for the equality that we want it to be realized.
Mhm.
And more than that, we also have คุณอวยพรเขื่อนแก้ว she is an activist for women and LGBT as well. uh, she has uh, she is the foundation of International Women for Peace in Chiang Mai, and she also has an important view as well, as just like I have said before, that in Thai Buddhist context, the institutions are dominated by all men, and if women or LGBTQ plus got accept like we want, the institution above, they will lose some power, which they absolutely don't want us to be equal. And that is also why sometimes we have to approach them, or
Mm.
mention against sometimes.
Mm.
Yes, and we also have คุณวิจักรพานิช he is the foundation of uh, Vajrasatha, which is the spiritual community in Bangkok, and also mentioned that the spiritual way, um, there are no discriminations at all. I mean, um, actually, in the Buddhist era, I mean, 2 or 3 thousand years ago, there are no mention about sexuality as much as we are in this era. But why do we still discriminate instead that we can all um, treat equally? Actually, in another variant of Buddhist in some other countries, there are no discrimination like us in Thailand. Like in Myanmar or in China or in Japan, there are bhikkhunis, but legally, but not in Thailand.
Not in
Yeah,
Myanmar, not in Myanmar, but
yeah,
certainly in, yeah, they have Salalays who are like
mm,
similar to the Meiteis in Thailand, but they also are very anti-Bhikkhuni, the ecclesiastical community
mm,
there. And I remember reading a story actually about a Bhikkhuni who had ordained as a full Bhikkhuni and gone back to Myanmar, and she was bashed and imprisoned, and it was a horrible, horrible thing. I think she was also raped as well, and it was because of her status as a Bhikkhuni. But yeah, certainly in other countries, in Taiwan and Sri Lanka and
yeah, Sri Lanka.
India, there are definitely bhikkhunis, fully ordained bhikkhunis. Yeah, but
Yeah, I
I
may
think it's,
mismentioned about. Mm,
yeah, no, I'm happy to be corrected if I'm mistaken. But as far as I know, there's no
yeah,
bhikkhunis in Myanmar, in Burma. There
yeah,
are different levels of women's ordination though, but not full bhikkhunis.
mm,
Yeah. But I think it's wonderful that you added those um, scholars and activists to the booklet because it really gives a lot more context for Thai people to understand ways that they can think about discrimination, human rights in the Buddhist context. And I think that those additional texts really make your edition much stronger, actually, than the English edition because you've got much more, um, uh, I guess, a more rigorous approach to the problem of discrimination. And at the beginning, you mentioned the the role of Samyang Press is about promoting human rights, and that wasn't really something like when I wrote this and got this published. I guess I didn't really see it as part of that really big project that this is human rights. I was just thinking about myself and my friends, and I was thinking about how I just want people to be treated well. And I think it's easy to forget that this is a human rights issue. Freedom, equality, the ability to be safe. This is human rights.
yes. Of, of course, this is even it is depends on individuals about identities, but we are all in the community together. And just like in the books that said, like mentioned that wills not harm, or some that against or aggressive against the community. I think this is also a little thing, but it's a very significant thing to be addressed on to raise that it is against human rights, it is against about human dignity.
Mm,
And this book also helps people to understand and to know the LGBTQ rights is human rights as well. And
mm,
we can, people cannot just harm or be aggressive or be a homophobic against anyone because that
mm,
is also against another human rights as well.
mm. And even
Mm,
like in Australia with Buddhist communities, there's no outright kind of discrimination or hatred. They're not going out and marching on the streets and things like that. But there's still some very subtle forms of discrimination, like in administration, like forms or um, toilets, accommodation, seating arrangements. these things still exist, even though it's not outright homophobia. Is it the same in Thailand, that it's, it may not be violent or abusive, people aren't yelling at people, people aren't throwing people out of temples, but there's still a layer of homophobia or transphobia that affects people in a very real way?
Yeah, my friends or and I who held the activities about this book last month and mentioned about this as well. About how can we see in our daily life that we can see about the discrimination, and yeah, and we have seen that many of things in daily life also stuck and stick to the binary, that
Mm,
there are just men or women, and sometimes sometimes we just don't know where to go, because there are just only two choices uh that they just provided and enforced us two genders. And if possible, like you have mentioned about toilets, I think it would be better if we have all gender restroom instead
mm,
of uh divide about men or women. And this is another example that is is very near is very near to our daily life, that
mm.
we would in the future somehow stand and make it change to the better way.
And often in Thai temples and monasteries and Buddhist culture, it's quite common for women to sit behind the men in a monastery or a temple setting if there's a ceremony or a dana offering or something like that. Can you see any way that that might change?
Um, it is quite challenging because uh, it's like, as a foundation of in the Thai Buddhist context, monks cannot be contacted uh, at the skin by women at
Mm,
all, because
mm,
both monks and that woman will get sins and something like that, that kind of superstitions. Yeah, so it's like it's kind of normalized already in Thai society that women would at least step away, one step away from monk. So that's
mm,
why in all events and activities, men could get in front of the ceremony and women could get behind, or sometimes could just get far away as one can, which is not right. And I think uh, if you want to change this, I think it also depends on the on all of us and the Buddhist council about their rules and their strict regulations that Buddhists cannot be contacted by women,
mm.
which is kind of narrative and their orders and yeah, their regulations as well. I think if we can fix this, I think how to treat men and women could change and could more equal. Yeah, there are also um other ways and issues as well. This is the I think that it's quite obvious in the Buddhist
Mm.
society, as we like in Sri Lanka or in Taiwan, um we see monk can shake hand with women, but
Mm.
it's quite obviously not able in Thailand. Yeah.
Mm. Yes, and for
Mm,
me, as a Western monk, it's quite common for women to offer things into my hands, or sometimes we shake hands with women. And then when I go into Thailand, I have to be very aware, I'm entering a very different context. And of course, as a white person, I'm very worried about bringing my own culture and my own views and my own ideas about what should be right and wrong going into another country. But for me, it's a big shift whenever I visit Thailand, to remember, oh, okay, this is how it's done here. And in many ways, I feel like I become part of the problem. You know, I'm doing something
Also,
that I feel really uncomfortable about. I'm doing it because I respect the culture, but at the same time, that respect makes me part of the problem. And, I'm not going to change anything in Thailand. Of course, it has to come from Thai people and from Thai women and Thai monks. And if they want change, I guess they'll have to make it happen themselves, of course. But um, this is the problem when something is so entrenched, right? It becomes very difficult to see a way around it. But I guess this is what you are doing with all your various projects. You're kind of chipping away at some of the ideas that are very entrenched in culture in Thailand about freedom, about um, political participation, about gender, about sexuality. And I just wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing because I know that it can't always be easy work. And I know that you've done a lot. And when I look at the website, you've published so many books. It's really amazing. And I'll make sure I put a link to the website in the YouTube video description. Can I just ask, I think we should probably finish up shortly, but what's happened to the booklets that you published? You published thousands of booklets. Where have they ended up?
okay. Now there are many ways that we distribute. Sometimes the first way that we open the form that anyone can submit the request to this hard copy, and the second that we give to directly to give to some organization like in the university or in some organization or foundation that they may interested. And the third is that we approach to temples that we listed, and we ask if they will have books in the temple and give kind of give it for free to the people who visit the temple. Yeah, and now we have uh, actually it's 45% accomplished about the distribution,
Oh,
and we
great.
are working on that.
Ah,
Yeah,
good.
and in Thailand there always and there usually be some books for free and giveaway books
Mm,
in each temple. It's
mm,
like Dhamma books that people
mm,
would interested and sometimes they bring back home. Yeah, I just want the book to be um, the books like that people can take it and go back home and read it and also give it to another people if
mm.
they could.
And how has the reception of the book been? Have people been enthusiastic? Do they think it's useful?
Yeah, it is interesting and useful and to be honest, it is very really nice welcomed here in Thailand, especially
Great.
in the younger generations that oh
Good.
they're interested and they just have an idea that oh actually Buddhists are the core religion. I'm not sure. It's a major religion in Thailand that
Yeah.
um that this is a foundation that it should change, not just like because younger generations may think that oh my gosh, Buddhist is so conservative, Buddhism is so conservative, so they just became an non-religions as well, but no one think about how to change the religion that's right currently dominated the system.
Mm,
So many would just have an idea that it's also the time that Buddhism in Thailand should change too, because it's not just like we uh learned from the Western or not, but the human rights and the respect equally is actually the original of the Buddhism, right? But it's not we are doing right now. I mean, it's not we are Thai context, a Thai society doing right now, because we have seen many discrimination from men and women and men and LGBTQ plus community. So that is a problem, and we should change, and we must change.
Mm. And thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up, that it is, there is discrimination in Thailand, and Buddhism is so entrenched, so much a part of all areas of Thai life. And so if we want rights for queers, if we want freedom and we want equality, then it's only natural that Buddhism as an institution, which is part of those systems, will also have to change. And so that's very interesting for me to hear from my context here in Australia. So perhaps we should leave it there. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to say to finish up?
Um, Nothing much, but I would like to thank you so much for Bhante Akaliko and the Rainbodhi Foundation and all supporters of this project. It means a lot of this very small step of beginning, but we believe that in the future, not me or us or anyone could continue and push this forward and make it the gender equality realized. And yeah, thank you so much for the support.
My pleasure. And thank you, Krittapas, for your kindness and for taking the time to be with us to talk to our international Rainbodhi community today, and for all the work that you do, especially for the work that you've done on the Thai edition of Welcoming the Rainbow. Appreciate it so much. And I wish you all the very best. I feel like this is the first, perhaps, of many conversations. And I look forward to hearing more about the effect of the booklet in the Thai Buddhist community. And perhaps we'll have an opportunity to talk again in the future. So thank you so much. Have a great night in Thailand.
Really honored and pleased. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
No worries. I'm just gonna have to find the stop recording. There we go. Goodbye, everyone.